Alright guys, it's the SS Ultimate Goku back another video. And so Super Bowl happens and the Rams win it. As we all know. Obviously, if you guys know, I was rooting for the Bengals to win because obviously I'm happy it wasn't Brady or it wasn't other people in there that were already in there. Since my Packers got eliminated because our special team sucks. Um, got freaking blocked punt. Still can't get over it. I never get over any of the losses we have. None of them. Oh, I still haven't gotten over the Super Bowl we lost when I was 8 years old against the Broncos. The Giants won in 2007. And especially this one. I don't get over any of them. Never get over any of them. You never do. Um, but anyways. So I seen a segment from Stephen A. Smith of ESPN after the Rams and Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupps and Sam Darnold, won the Super Bowl. And it was a close one, and probably closer than it should have been, but nonetheless it happened because there were a lot of controversial calls for both teams that led to points in the game. So, bad officiating by the refs as usual, but nonetheless, the Rams pulled it out, and it just amazes me these days at how so many people perceive a ring or more of a ring as an argument for a quarterback being greater than another quarterback. I just think that argument is so stupid. And it's dumb because by that logic, Bart Starr is better than everyone up to Tom Brady because Bart Starr won 5 rings. Yes, the NFL titles count, guys. The NFL championships were the Super Bowl. So he has 5. More than Terry Bradshaw, more than Joe Montana. Yet you guys don't count any of those. Or how Otto Graham won a total of 7 NFL, or technically, I think 3 of them were All-American Football Conference championships, but I think he won at least 4 or 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. In terms of the NFL moniker of it. But my point being is, I'm so sick of the argument about rings are all that matters when it comes to who's the greatest or who's more greater than some other quarterback. Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he never got a ring. It's just how it happens sometimes. That being point, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN. Now, I don't really have that much overall an issue with Stephen A. Smith. I do like some of his takes, but I did not like his take on Matthew Stafford winning the Super Bowl, because he made the argument that, or he basically reinvigorated to the fact that because Matthew Stafford won this Super Bowl, that he is a future Hall of Famer. And which I will call bullshit on that. Because I'll say this right now. If Matthew Stafford is a goddamn Hall of Famer, then Joe Flacco is a Hall of Famer. Yes. Because Joe Flacco, 1, has more playoff appearances overall in the playoffs per season than Matthew Stafford. 2, he has the same amount of Super Bowl rings as Matthew Stafford. 3, has had a great defense that helped him out, just like Matthew Stafford. had the same amount of wide receiving core as Matthew Stafford had, and probably even least wide receiving core since he didn't have an all-pro guy like Cooper Kupp's. Okay. So yeah. He's not a Hall of Famer. Maybe if he wins another ring, but no. As a matter of fact, I would argue that this validates that Matthew Stafford isn't a Hall of Famer. Because if you look at his Super Bowl performance, if you look at the NFC Championship game performance, they weren't that good. Yes, I know he's got over 300 yards passing in the Super Bowl. He had 3 touchdowns, but he also had 2 boneheaded interceptions, which got the Bengals back into the game. Okay. Luckily, didn't I really? I think the second interception allowed them to get a field goal. But you know, the other interception was costly because, I mean, they could have gotten possibly a field goal, you know, had he not, you know, bombed it up. But instead he took a shot and they picked it off. It was underthrown. Which also cost him Super Bowl MVP, because if he doesn't throw those 2 interceptions and they win that game, he easily gets Super Bowl MVP, because we all know the media and the voters and whatnot are always biased toward the quarterback. The quarterback is always going to get the first category when it comes to who they pick for Super Bowl MVP. The quarterback is always in mind when it comes to Super Bowl MVP, as well as it is for the MVP award. That's always how it is, unless the quarterback doesn't perform well, or there's just an outstanding performance that can't be overlooked by someone else in the other position. But it's usually because the quarterback doesn't do good. You know, taking point with the Buccaneers in 2002 and Seattle when they won their Super Bowl against the Broncos. I think that was in 2013. The defenses did so outstanding that they had to give the Super Bowl MVP to a defensive player. But they always have in mind to giving the Super Bowl MVP to the quarterback unless something bad happens with the quarterback, where they just have to give it to someone else. That's just how they have been. They've been biased at for years. I mean, Brett Favre in Super Bowl 31 didn't win Super Bowl MVP. Desmond Howard won it, which I highly disagreed with. Brett Favre didn't throw an interception, and he threw 2 touchdown passes, and he ran for a touchdown pass. Desmond Howard did get the winning, kickoff return touchdown, but Favre had a better performance overall in that Super Bowl, and yet he didn't get the MVP. He didn't get the Super Bowl MVP there. And that was before the voting was involved. That was kind of the network decided it. But now they do voting online, and it basically is whoever has the most votes from the fans or whatever online on NFL.com, I believe, gets the MVP basically from the winning team. Whoever has the most votes from the winning team gets the player from the winning team gets the MVP. But it's always biased towards the quarterback. Even in 2006, when Peyton Manning won his first Super Bowl in Super Bowl 41, I don't think Peyton Manning was the MVP in that Super Bowl. I think Dominic Rose had a better performance in Super Bowl 41 than Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning threw 1 touchdown pass, but Dominic Rose really dominated that game on the ground against that number 1 defense. But they still gave it to Peyton Manning. Because he's the quarterback. He definitely didn't have a better performance than Brett Favre in Super Bowl 31. Yet Favre didn't get the MVP in the Super Bowl. So I was happy that Stafford didn't get the MVP because, one, I thought his performance did not warrant it. With the boneheaded interceptions that were very costly. And probably could have put the game away earlier. had he not done those interceptions, because again, they may have been able to drive it down. I don't think the Rams. I think the Rams were way better than the front that the defense had for the Bengals, but yet they were still in the game for most of it. But Matthew Stafford being a Hall of Famer is absolutely ridiculous. Again, in the NFC Championship game, he almost lost the game for the Rams. Like, I don't know how people forget this. He literally almost lost the game for them. He threw an underhanded he threw an underthrown ball right to the DB for the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49er defender dropped it. If he holds on to that ball, okay, the Niners probably put that game away, because I believe they were down by a field goal at that point in the NFC Championship game. And them dropping that interception allowed Stafford and the Rams to get another opportunity to drive down the field. And they ultimately got a field goal, which tied the game. Now, keep in mind, the Rams, they had no timeouts during this time, and they were losing by a field goal. They get the interception there. They're probably at midfield, and the Niners have control of the ball, and they can play clockwork. They're up by 3 at that point. Maybe get another field goal, maybe get a touchdown and put the game away. And that would have been on Stafford. But the Niner guy dropped the ball. Next play, of course, they get the big catch and the 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty. And then, of course, they go down and kick the field goal, and they tie the game. And then, of course, they go on to win the game. Point being is Matthew Stafford being a Hall of Famer because the team won the Super Bowl is laughable. Because, again, there were a lot of times in the playoffs that he could have ruined it for his team. And got a second opportunity to redeem himself. So, say he's a Hall of Famer because they won a Super Bowl against a team that clearly... The Bengals looked like a team that really didn't belong there. Okay, they really didn't. I mean, I was hoping they were going to win. But, I mean, if you watch the game, the Bengals looked like a team that was just happy to be there. Okay, obviously no one thought the Bengals were going to be there. I didn't think the Bengals were going to even be in the playoffs this year. I had said they were a rebuilding team. I thought they would be 8-8, 8-9, or was that right? 8 or not? I thought they'd be either 8-9, or they would have been. I don't know how I don't know how it works now because there's an extra game now, so my mindset is completely different how the records would be now. But they would have been 9-7 or 9-8 or 8-9. That's what I had thought the Bengals would have been. I thought they were I said it in my earlier prediction videos this year, like when we were playing the Bengals and whatnot, when the Packers were playing the Bengals. I thought the Bengals were a rebuilding team. I thought they were going to have an okay season. They had just gotten a 4-12 season the last year. I thought they were going to rebuild to the future. First full season for Burrow. I thought it would be like an 8-8, an 8-9 team or a 9-8 team at best. I did not think they would be in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. I thought they would probably almost sniff the playoffs, but not there completely yet. That's where I thought the Bengals would be. The Bengals being in the Super Bowl, they clearly looked like, they didn't really belong there. But at the same time, the Rams kept them in the game. And again, even though the Rams were the designated road team, okay, because of the way the conference rotates on who's the designated road team and who's the designated home team, this year it was the NFC's turn to be the designated road team. Even though they were the designated road team, they were actually the home team because they were playing in LA Stadium. They were playing in the Rams Stadium. So it was really basically a home game for the Rams. And even with that element, even with the fact that the Rams were playing in their own damn stadium, okay, the Bengals almost won that game, okay? And had Burrow been able to get enough time, about a couple more seconds more from his stupid-ass, trash-ass offensive line that sucks, he had a wide-open Chase. Chase was wide open on that 4th and 1 play, which would have given them a touchdown with, like, I don't know, 35 seconds left in the game or whatever. I don't remember. I don't know how many timeouts the Rams would have had, but with 35 seconds left, he had a wide open Chase in the end zone. Had Sam Darnold not blitzed and got off the offensive line on that 4th and 1 play. Like, literally, Chase was wide open, and that would have, Bengals probably would have held on and won that game, and the narrative would have been completely different. The narrative would have been that, Stafford choked because, there were a lot of things that they could have done in that game that should have been more aggressive. And I agree, the Rams looked more poised in the game, but then at times were very inconsistent, where the Bengals felt like they were kind of just weaseling around. It didn't feel like they belonged there, but at the same time, they had a chance to win the game. It was a 3-point game. Having to resort to trick plays like, running back throwing a touchdown pass just to get him in the end zone, the first one that they got. Then, of course, they got away with the second touchdown, the first offensive play of the half, where it was clear that, there was a pass interference. He grabbed the face mask of Ramsey's to get the touchdown. That's what it is. But to say Stafford is a Hall of Famer because he won a goddamn Super Bowl where he barely won it, and he made boneheaded mistakes that could have cost them the Super Bowl. It's not to mention the NFC Championship game, he almost blew it. I think is insane. I think that is insane narrative. Matthew Stafford has always had great talent. Okay? He's always had great talent. Cooper Kupp, okay, is a great wide receiver. But you want to know who else was a great wide receiver? Megatron, a.k.a. Calvin Johnson, okay? First ballot Hall of Famer, okay? Calvin Johnson. Matthew Stafford had Calvin Johnson for 8 of the 9 seasons that Calvin Johnson was an NFL pro, since he only played 9 years. And yet, Stafford couldn't overcome it still with the Lions. I'm more impressive with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow took a terrible franchise, a terribly poor run franchise, and was able to get to the Super Bowl. Was able to take the Bungles to the Super Bowl. Okay? Take the Bungles to the Super Bowl. I can't call them the Bungles anymore. They got to the Super Bowl. They're the Bengals. Okay? They got the Bengals to the Super Bowl. A team that hadn't been to the Super Bowl since 1988. All right? A team that hadn't won a playoff game since 1990. 1990. Okay? They hadn't won a playoff game before this playoff run. I wasn't even alive in 1990. That's how long the Bengals have not won a playoff game since this playoff run this year with them going to the Super Bowl. I'm more impressed with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's first full year as a starter. Okay, since he tore his ACL halfway through his rookie year. All right, he took a team to the Super Bowl that hadn't won a playoff game going into that postseason since 1990. I wasn't even alive in 1990. I was born in 91. I hadn't even been alive when they won their last playoff game. That is how long it's been since the Bengals won a playoff game before this year. Okay, I'm more impressed with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow almost won a Super Bowl with a mediocre offensive line because he took 7 sacks in that game, which I think he took. Wait, how many sacks did he take in the Titans game? In the Titans game, he took 9 sacks. 9 sacks. His offensive line was utter trash. His offensive line was trash. He took 9 sacks against the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round, okay, and took 7 in the Super Bowl, okay, because his offensive line sucked. If he had an offensive line, they win that game. As underperforming as the Bengals were in that game, they could have won that game because the Rams did not show up that well. They did not show up that well. Yes, they showed up, but they didn't show up as well as they could have. All right, they underperformed. The Rams underperformed in this game. Yeah, they won, but they underperformed. It was in their home stadium. Okay, even though they were a designated road team, it was in their home stadium, and they still managed to only win this game by 3 points. Okay, they managed to only win this game by 3 points. Okay, and yeah, I mean, a win's a win. It don't matter how you get a win, but I'm just saying, if we're analyzing this for a historical perspective, they had their home field. Okay, they were playing on their home turf. Okay, they freaking playing a team that has a terrible offensive line. Okay, they're playing against a team that's just happy to be there because they haven't been there in 30 plus years. They haven't been there since 1988. They haven't won a playoff game prior to this year's postseason since 1990. Okay, it's been a long time coming. All right, Burrow managed to carry this team, okay, to a Super Bowl. Okay, and in the Rams, everything, the odds, everything should have been in their favor, you know, to blow this team out like the Bucs did to the Chiefs, all right, in their home stadium last year in the Super Bowl. But yet they didn't do that. They only managed to win by 3 points. And almost could have lost had it not been for the fact that Burrow had a terrible offensive line that allowed Sam Darnold to get to him way too quickly, which cost him being able to throw it to Chase, who was wide open, who had Ramsey beat. Okay, on that 4th and 1 play. Look it up. It was there. It was there for Burrow to throw had the offensive line not been trash. Okay. So, right there just tells you that the Rams were not that good in this game. Yeah, they won, but they didn't play great. They didn't play great in this game. Okay? They didn't. Stafford could have put the game away much sooner, but he chose to let the team stay in the game much longer than they should have. So, to say that Stafford is a Hall of Famer, no. Burrow has a bright future in this game. He has a bright future in this game, and who knows? He might get to another. I don't know if he'll get to another Super Bowl. It's never guaranteed. I want to reiterate, it never is guaranteed. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he'll be back." Dan Marino thought he'd be back. That didn't happen. So it's never guaranteed. But he does have the potential to get back in the future, depending on how the Bengals handle things going forward. But knowing the Cincinnati Bengals the way I know the Cincinnati Bengals, that's probably the farthest they're going to go. Because Mike Brown, the son of Paul Brown, is not a good owner. There's a reason why they haven't won a playoff game since 1990. After Paul Brown passed away in 1990, ironically, and his son took over, they have been a shitty run organization since. Mike Brown inherited the team, but he didn't inherit Paul Brown's brilliance. And because of that, that's why the team has sucked for 30 plus years. So I don't think the Bengals are going to get back there because of that. Because I don't think I don't think Mike Brown is going to invest in making the team better. Because that's the reason why the team has sucked for this long. And which is why I think it's even more impressive that Burrow got to the Super Bowl with this mediocre team that they had. And almost won it. He almost won it for the Bengals. So, yeah. I'm more impressed to him being a future Hall of Famer in years to come, depending on how long he lasts. Hopefully he lasts a long time, but you never know. But I'm more impressed of him possibly being a future Hall of Famer than Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is not a future Hall of Famer. All right. His Super Bowl win did not prove he was a Hall of Famer. I totally disagree with Stephen A. Smith or anybody who gives the narrative that he is a Hall of Famer when you look at the stats he gave and the potential almost choking moments he had in this game. You're supposed to make your team better. Yeah, he was on the Detroit Lions, a terribly run organization for 12 years, but you're supposed to make that team better. Burrow did it. By getting this mediocre-ass team to a Super Bowl, winning the first playoff game since 1990. He was able to do that. Stafford was never able to do that in Detroit. All right, he was never able to elevate the team. He was never able to elevate the Detroit Lions further than what they were. So no, I don't view him as a future Hall of Famer, and I don't view him as a franchise quarterback. Or I don't view him as I shouldn't say franchise quarterback. I mean, I don't view him as a future Hall of Famer. I don't view him as this great quarterback of all time guy. He had one good season with the Rams because they had a great defense. They had an all-pro wide receiver, all-time great in Cooper Kupps. And then, of course, he had Odell later in the season. But again, he had an all-pro, all-time great wide receiver with Calvin Johnson, and he couldn't take them over the hump. And he was double covered and at times triple covered, just like Cooper Kupps was. So no, it's not the same. It's not the same, guys. Matthew Stafford is not a Hall of Famer. The Super Bowl does not prove shit, and it actually devalues it. If anything. That's all I got to say. Comment, rate. If you like to find my videos, please subscribe. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku. Peace!